When the Havoc expansion launched into EVE Online, it brought with it two new pirate battlecruisers, the Guristas Pirates Alligator and the Angel Cartel Khizriel. Now, I am a bit of a Minmatar fanboy. I love the Angel Cartel, I love my projectile turrets, so it seemed a little bit of a no-brainer that the Khizriel was one of those ships that I was very excited to get my hands on and see how it would perform. Now, admittedly, this is probably more of a PvP ship than a PvE one, but considering I absolutely suck at PvP and I have a bit of a penchant for going ratting in C3 wormholes, I thought, why not give the Khizriel a spin? And so, in this video, I'm going to take you through what I've managed to uncover about the Khizriel over the past couple of weeks of flying with this ship. I do apologise for the delay, but hopefully you'll find this as entertaining and enlightening as I did flying it. Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome back to another video for EVE Online. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Angel Cartel Khizriel, this absolutely drop-dead gorgeous ship that you see on your screen now. Oh boy, this is a vessel that from the second I saw it announced at FanFest, I knew I needed to fly. Just look at it! I love the Angel Cartel ships in general. I think they have a really unusual, angular, quite demonic sort of aesthetic to them, and the Khizriel really ramps that up all the way to 9. Now, annoyingly, when it's docked, you can't see all the really flashy stuff. Like down the sides here, these ribs do glow, as does the Angel Cartel logo in the center there. I do also love this skin. That whole point of Steal the Future, yeah, okay, it's a little bit teen edgelord, but at the same token, that's kind of my aesthetic, so you know what, we're gonna roll with it. I love getting to play the pirate, I love getting to use projectile cannons, I really enjoy cruisers and battlecruisers, so yeah, we're gonna have a look at flying this in C3J space and how well it compares to other vessels, and why you might want to or not want to fly this particular ship. If you do enjoy this video and you fancy helping support the channel, please take a second to hit like, drop a subscription if you haven't already, and comment down below. That all really helps the channel out by basically teaching YouTube my content's worth watching. Please show it to more people. If you do want to help support financially, we'll talk about that later, along with some really cool bonuses that you can get as a new player to EVE Online. With all that said and done though, let's jump right into talking about the Angel Cartel Khizriel Battlecruiser. Even the name Khizriel is just so awesome to me. I don't know what it is. It's just, I love the Angel Cartel naming, like the good old Dramiel, the Cinnabal, the Macariel, and now, of course, the Khizriel on top of that as well, along with the Azariel, bloody Titan, and the Mekubal cruiser. Bleh. Oh, I don't know what it is. There's something about that naming convention, that sort of demonic, biblical style name. It just really, really resonates with me, and they are such cool looking ships. Yeah, I love everything about this vessel, but let's take a look at its traits and its characteristics to start off with. So it is an Angel Cartel vessel. That means there are certain expectations we have based on Gallente and Minmatar Battlecruiser and role bonuses. So, first of all, those role bonuses. Being a Battlecruiser, we have the ability to use Command Burst modules, and we get a 50% bonus to Command Burst area of effect range. On top of which, we also get a 25% bonus to Medium Projectile Turret optimal range and fall off, 25% bonus to Medium Projectile Turret rate of fire, both of which are just great little bonuses to start off with, additional range over your other compatriots, and much faster rate of fire. Significantly faster rate of fire just makes those turrets do a lot more damage. On top of this, we have the Angel Cartel bonus of a 25% bonus to warp speed and warp acceleration. When we're talking about warp acceleration, that's the moment that you get the warp drive active notification once you have aligned. It doesn't help you align faster, but once you hit that magic align moment and the ship actually enters warp, you quickly reach your maximum warp speed that little bit faster, and it is a 25% faster warp speed. This works really nicely in PvP, as it means that when you're moving between grids, you get between the grids faster. You don't get off or onto grid any faster, but the distance between grids is cleared much, much quicker. We then, of course, have Gallente Battlecruiser and Minmatar Battlecruiser bonuses. This is an Angel Cartel ship, so those are our two factions that we're getting bonuses from. And some newer players have asked, do I only get bonuses from one of these or from both? And no, it's absolutely both. If you have Gallente Battlecruiser trained, every level will give you a 10% bonus to Medium Projectile Turret fall-off, and Minmatar Battlecruiser will give you a 5% bonus to Medium Projectile Turret damage. At full training of Gallente Battlecruiser 5 and Minmatar Battlecruiser 5, that's 50% additional fall-off on top of the 25% roll bonus, so we get really long gradual fall-off ranges here, which does suddenly suggest autocannons to me, and a 25% bonus to medium projectile turret damage on top of the 25% medium projectile turret rate of fire. There's just so much to love about the Khizriel. This thing has amazing range, it has exceptional damage output, you've got those command burst abilities on there as well. The only thing we don't have, notably, is tracking, and we are going to need to bear that in mind later on when it comes to the combat demonstration and fitting the ship. Talking about fitting, let's have a look at its profile here. So, we have 7 high power slots. 6 of these are turret hardpoints. None of them are launchers. So far, so Angel Cartel. That means we are getting 6 turrets with 25% rate of fire and 25% additional damage at full training. Oh, that's like basically running 9 turrets worth of firepower on a battlecruiser. It hurts. It's amazing and I love it so much. We get 5 medium power slots and 6 low power slots, which means that the Khizriel actually works really well as both an armor tank or as a shield tank. You can go either way with it. The fit that you can see, I'm getting a nice sneaky peek of it here, is going to be a shield tank fit because I find it works better for PvE that way, but PvP, yeah, I'd almost be tempted to armor tank this one just to get all of that sweet juicy tackle in the mid slots and better application to really just rip your opponents a new one. With 3 rig slots, again, typical battlecruiser kind of thing. We can go through the attributes in that here as well. 100 cubic meters of drone bay with a 75 megabits per second drone bandwidth means we can essentially launch 3 heavy drones or a mixture of medium and light drones in there, medium, heavy and light drones in there as well, kind of based on whatever situation you end up in. It is worth noting that our resistance profile is a traditionally Tech 1 resistance profile, so bear that in mind. You don't have particularly high resistances on a Khizriel, but we are a battlecruiser, and we can kind of make up for that using command bursts, as we'll see later on as well, so there are ways around that as well. Otherwise, it's pretty much a Hurricane fleet issue that's been ramped up to the 9s just a little bit. And this begs the question of why would you use a Khizriel over any other ship? Like, compare this to something like the Sleipnir, and the Sleipnir does kind of pull ahead and is significantly cheaper. Now, the reason I still look at the Khizriel is because it is remarkably alpha-friendly. Every skill you need to fly the Khizriel is alpha-friendly, and the ship itself can be flown by alpha pilots, which means if you are trained heavily into projectile and battlecruiser skills, then this is a ship that you can fly, whereas something like the Sleipnir or the Astarte or things like that just simply aren't ships that you can fly, so it does give you that option there. It's also just remarkably pretty. Yeah, I get it, it's expensive, and every time I do one of these videos, there is some asshat in the comment section with 2 brain cells fighting for 3rd place who just sits there and goes, oh, but why would I fly this when it's more expensive than other things? Because this is a bloody video game, and sometimes having fun is the important part, right? Like, fly ships that you enjoy. It doesn't matter if it's a bit more expensive than something else. And also, yeah, the Khizriel is still kind of expensive at the moment, but I do expect that cost to come down a little bit over time, and the fit that I'm going to be showcasing, you can probably modify to be a little bit cheaper as well, especially if you're working with a fleet. Like, the Khizriel really shines in a fleet. I think if you take this and one other friendly shield tank ship, you're going to have a lot of fun with it, and the fact that it's alpha-friendly, the fit isn't alpha-friendly, but you can modify, right? Essentially, the fact that this is an alpha-friendly ship really gives it a lot of versatility and a lot of really interesting uses. So, speaking of the fit, let's actually take a look at this. It is a shield tanked fit. I'm going to be using autocannons because they are one of my favourite weapon systems in the game. I really like how well they work for C3 ratting. I think they can be a lot of fun. This fit does have some modifications that you can back and forth with. Try for your own personal preference depending on your skills and your playstyle. This is the core fit, and I will talk about how we modify it in just a moment. Now, because it's shield tanked, we've got a specific setup involved in that. Now, for the mid-slots, I have started off with a GIST X-Type large shield booster. Doesn't necessarily need to be an X-Type, you can drop this down to a B or even a C-Type. Ultimately, you will obviously lose a little bit of your HP per second for that, but you don't necessarily need as much as I've got here. You just need to be a bit more of a, prepared flyer, know what is going to do damage to you, shoot those things first, worry about the triggers, and, make sure that you survive that way. In order to really push up the hit points per second on the shield boost cycles, I'm also running a shield boost amplifier too. And because I would like to keep the resists up a little bit higher, I've got a multi-spectrum shield hardener 2, along with a shield command burst 2 in the high slots, running a harmonizing charge. This pushes our resistances up just that little bit higher here, keeps things nice and around, well, 57% is our lowest on thermal, 62% electromagnetic, 68 on kinetic, and 74 on explosive. In the in the rig slots, we've got medium EM shield reinforcer 2 and a medium core defense operational solidifier 2, just to push things up a bit. Like, I'm not sure about the operational solidifier hit 2 here. Could probably swap this out for a thermal shield reinforcer. I don't know. It's kind of up to you. I did try numerous different things, and I haven't tried everything because I don't have that much time in my life, right? This worked. This worked for me, but absolutely you could swap that out for a thermal to have a bit more thermal resistance, so you take less damage from the Sleeper's turrets. That's a way you could do it. I've also got a Thucker large cap battery in here to help with cap stability. Now, obviously, it's still only 2.5 gigajoules per second of delta, but that is with the shield booster running. With that off, 38.4 gigajoules per second means we do actually recharge even when we are under the harshest amounts of neutralization that a C3 combat site can throw at us. That's why I like this fit, because if I can turn the shield booster off, then I am guaranteed to be recharging my capacitor quite comfortably, so I can just cycle that quite comfortably. If you're willing to, drop that a little bit and be a little bit more cap unstable when you're under the effects of neutralization in some of the harder sites, yeah, you can swap out the Thucker large cap battery, however you want to pronounce it, and swap that for another multi-spectrum shield hardener 2, just to really push those resistances up. And if I were to do that, well, let's just unfit this and type this in to show you now. I know this is going to be off screen, but I can't type to save my life. Multi-spectrum shield hardener 2, if we drop that in here, you'll see that that pushes our resistances to 67% on lowest. Our thermal is 67, our EM is 67. This does work quite nicely, but it does mean we're only 16 gigajoules per second with the shield booster offline. With it online, it's negative 20 gigajoules per second, so we do cap out quite quickly on this. As such, I do personally like to run the Thucker large cap battery there, just to have that little bit of an extra safety net when we're under the neutralization from things like awakened upholders or sleepless upholders, that kind of thing, in some of these sites. A little bit of propulsion. I've gone for a Federation Navy 10 meganewton afterburner. Again, you can drop the bling down on this. I like the fact that this pushes me over 650 meters per second. 661. It's really not bad for a battlecruiser, hey. You don't speed tank particularly well, but it does allow you to keep range on stuff quite nicely, which I find massively beneficial. In the low slots as well, to help the shield, we've got a capacitor flux coil 2 and a damage control 2, just to help push those resistances up a little bit higher. For our weaponry then, in the high slots, 425mm autocannon 2s carry hail, carry barrage, and carry something like phased plasma. I tend to use Republic Fleet phased plasma because it's got better tracking than hail. Remember, the Khizriel does not get tracking bonuses. It's a battlecruiser, projectile turret battlecruiser, which means it doesn't really get the tracking bonuses, which means you can struggle against some of the smaller, faster ships out there. So you want to not just rely on hail, for the simple fact that hail, as much as I love it, load hail, never fail, right? As much as I love hail, it does struggle sometimes thanks to its tracking penalty. So having phased plasma or whatever, one of the like EMP or something like that, there as well, just to allow you to push that little bit of extra damage and have better tracking, does work in a beneficial way. Our other low slots then, I've gone 2 Republic Fleet gyro stabilizers and 2 tracking enhancer 2s. Again, you can swap these for standard like gyro stabilizer 2s if you really want, or like my recent video on Abyssal mutaplasmids, you could try and have your luck with some of the Abyssal style modules. Could be a bit of a fun way to try and cram those in with the fitting down there. But this pushes our DPS up quite nicely. You'll see I have no drones currently fitted in this because I lost them in a run the other day. I had to flee a combat site. I should probably add drones actually into this to showcase what it can do, but the numbers don't really matter. I'm getting 758.7 out of this without the drones. With drones, I'm sure you can figure out that that is going to go up a little bit. It's not a huge amount because it doesn't get bonuses to drones, but still worth having, right? Make sure you do load drones. Final then in the rigs, we've got a medium semiconductor memory cell 1. Don't have enough calibration to fit in a second one of these, or coherency, or whatever it's called. Calibration? It is calibration. I don't have enough to fit a Tech 2 version, so a standard one just helps us with capacitor stability here, which again, I find massively beneficial in those combat sites. Anyway, enough of me rambling on about the fit. Let's actually showcase it in action, shall we? That said, before we do, I just want to take a brief moment of your time to talk about how you can help support this channel. If you find my content enjoyable, if you find it helpful, there are numerous ways you can help support the channel. If you're willing to go the extra mile to support me financially, that's really awesome. Thank you so much to everyone who is able to do that. If you're not, really don't worry about it. I appreciate every dollar that you guys are kind enough to donate to me. You can do that via my Patreon page, where you can pledge to support a small amount each month, and you get your name in the credits of every video, get your name in the stars at the end of every video, along with occasional blog updates and a couple of other bits and pieces I occasionally chuck out to Patreon. I'm really terrible at doing that. I am sorry. I'm trying to get better at it. On top of which, if you're more of a one-off donation kind of guy, I've got a PayPal tip jar linked in the description as well. You can just donate me the price of a cup of coffee or something to help keep me going and get my voice back into order, because yay, winter sickness. Finally though, if you do just want to support the channel and you don't want to donate like financially, the easiest thing you can do is hit like on the video, drop a comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and consider sharing my videos with your friends or your corp mates, just to kind of, in fact, YouTube does this wonderful thing where if you just click the share button and copy link, it helps the algorithm as well. So just, if you can do that, it really helps me out. Finally, to give something back to you, if you want to join the Catskull Cartel in-game or just talk with a bunch of like-minded EVE Online players, we have the Catskull Community Discord linked in the description down below. Come join us, come talk, have a great time. And if you're relatively new to EVE Online, or just if you haven't used a referral link before, I've got a referral link down below. You can click that, gain yourself 1 million free skill points. Doesn't matter how old your account is, just as long as you haven't used a referral link before. 1 million free skill points for you, minor kickback for me as well. Thank you so much. Anyway, enough of me rambling on about this. Let's jump straight into that combat demonstration and show the Khizriel in action. Now, before we talk too much about how the Khizriel actually runs in these sites, couple of quick things to point out to you. First of all, as you can see from the bottom right of the screen, I do not have drones currently on the ship. I went out without any drones, completely forgot that that was even a thing. Oops. Again, I make these mistakes so that you don't have to. You should also notice, if you have a look above the HUD there, you'll see that this is a Wolf Rye system. This is not technically a good system to go ratting in using a shield ship due to the reduction to shield resistances, which means I'm going to be taking a lot more damage in here. And the bonuses that you get from a Wolf Rye, increased damage from small weapons and increased armor, don't obviously really help me out here at all. Despite that, I thought I'd take the Khizriel in just to kind of push it to its limits and see what it can do. And you'll see that very quickly that phased plasma allows me to take out those opening frigates very, very quickly. Down they go, nice and sharp. We've got decent enough tracking thanks to phased plasma, and then we move on to the Awakened Defenders. Now, 15 kilometers out, we've got good range on them. I'm getting a couple of glancing hits here, but a lot of penetrating and things as well. We're doing quite comfortable damage against these, not a problem at all. They're going down fairly quickly. Not quite as quickly as I'd like, and there is a part of me that really misses using hail sometimes, but without the application from hail, some of the fast-moving ships, as I'm getting into position, can be, you just get a lot of glances as you're trying to get that orbit set up. First Awakened Defender down, move on to the second one. You can, at this point, theoretically swap to hail, and I should be fine against these, but that 10-second reload, there's a part of me that thinks 10 seconds of not shooting at all, I may as well just keep shooting with the ammo I've got, because by time I've reloaded, the increase in damage, is that actually going to outweigh the time it took to reload? I'm not convinced. So I'm just lazy, right? I'm just lazy and off we go. I'm using a shield harmonizing charge as well at the moment. Again, you can swap to an active shielding charge. If you're taking a lot of damage, you can swap to that just to quickly cycle quickly. All kinds of things you can do here. But you can see we're just kind of setting up a 10k orbit. Could probably get a little bit closer as well. I haven't really done the math on what I should be orbiting at. This does quite happily at 10k. And you'll see we're chewing through that Awakened Defender nice and quickly. Still sticking to Republic Fleet phased plasma. Once we hit the second wave of this Fortification Frontier stronghold, we're going to be going after those Awakened Upholders to start with, because they have newts. Can't kill both of them because then we'll trigger wave 3 early. That's not fun, but we can kill one of them nice and quickly. Phase Plasma also has pretty good range to it. We don't have any of the major penalties like Hail has, so it's got a slightly better range. You see, we can comfortably be hitting that Awakened Upholder from sort of 20 upwards kilometers away and still doing good damage. I'm going to start to bring an orbit in on that Awakened Defender because that is going to be the next ship that I take on. But even with the Wolf Rye negative effects to my shields, you can see the shield is holding quite comfortably. I do have to cycle the shield booster. You can see I'm using the version without the Thucker large cap battery. I've gone for the twin resistance version here because it's a Wolf Rye. Normally I would stick to the Thucker large cap battery and only one multi-spectrum shield hardener. But because it was a Wolf Rye, I thought, yeah, I probably need to push those resistances up just a little bit more to counteract the negative effects of the system. This would also be going a lot faster, of course, if I had drones, so I suppose the opportunity should be taken to talk about the drones while we're here. Because we've got 75 megabits per second, it is kind of up to you what you want to launch. You could launch 3 large drones, 3 Wasps, for example, Caldari Navy Wasps or Wasp 2s or whatever, and those will do pretty well against cruisers, battlecruisers, and just like battleship-size ships. You can then also, because you've got 3 of those taking up 75 megabits, you could have a couple of medium drones and a couple of light drones in there as well to swap to when you want to take out frigates or cruisers. You could also go for 75 megabits per second. I'm trying to do the math here. Go for like 2 large drones, 2 heavy drones, followed by, because that's 50, then 2 mediums and a light. There's your 5 drones. That gives you a lot of options, a lot of versatility. Those will increase damage quite nicely against pretty much anything you send them out against. Which drones should you use? Well, that's very much up to you. Some people swear by the Galente drones because they've got higher damage, and Sleepers have Omni resists, right? So just the higher DPS works. Not strictly true, because obviously the Galente drones also have the worst tracking of the lot, so they do take a little bit of, they don't apply quite as well as perhaps some of the others do. Obviously, things like Acolytes, the Amar and the Minmatar lines do have better tracking overall, but slightly lower DPS to make up for that. A lot of people swear by the Caldari line of drones in J-Space because they've got a nice balance of application, tank, and outgoing damage. And yeah, Sleepers do tend to aggro drones quite quickly and quite aggressively, so it's kind of, in my opinion, yeah, worth going with things like Caldari Navy Wasps because they've got a lot of tank to them, a lot of stuff going on there. I don't know. Anyway, we are now coming towards the end of the second wave. I just need to take out this final Awakened Upholder. That's the last ship in this wave. The Awakened Upholders are, of course, the triggers. I'm not going to go over all the triggers in this video for all of the different sites. I should probably do a video at some point where I just literally go over the 4 different sites and talk about the triggers and how to work with that. But here we are now on wave number 3. We're quite a distance away from everything. This is where Barrage is going to come in handy, and I think I'm actually using Barrage now. No, I'm loading into Barrage. I don't remember, but there we are. We're loading into Barrage now. 10-second reload time. Let's get rid of that Awakened Upholder first, because that is going to be neuting us, and as we get closer, it's also going to start webbing us, and that is going to increase the amount of damage we take, and also negatively affecting our capacitor. Yes, okay, the Sleepless Upholder, the battleship, is also neutralizing us, but that's going to take a lot longer to go down, so I'd rather take a few seconds to get rid of a smaller neut rather than spend a lot of time under both of those neutralizing effects and taking a lot of damage. You'll see here at this point as well, I do overheat the afterburner just to get myself moving a little bit faster. You can see even when webbed, overheating that afterburner gives me a wonderful flight velocity of 340 meters per second. That is reducing some of the incoming damage from both the turrets and the missiles. It does help out nicely. I don't want to leave that running too long. Now that the web's down, we should be able to comfortably turn that off. You can see my capacitor has gone a little bit low, but because we are now without that Awakened Upholder there, it's just the Sleepless Upholder neuting me, 12 gigajoules per second of neutralization coming off that. We can still recover. We've got enough with the shield booster turned off to still have our capacitor comfortably recharged behind that. It's a little bit close here because of the amount of damage that these are doing. I'm not flying at quite the correct angle. I'm taking a bit more than I should do. I'm also being quite slow to turn the shield booster back on. I should be cycling that a little bit more than I currently am to keep things a little bit higher. But yeah, mistakes were made. Again, I make these mistakes so that you don't have to. That Awakened Preserver is about to go down. At this point, because we've now got rid of the remote reps there, we can start to move in on that Sleepless Upholder, get better range on it. I'm going to swap to the Phased Plasma here. Probably should have just gone for Hail, to be fair, because the tracking bonus, the lack of tracking, isn't going to matter too much when we're going up against a battleship. But you can see I'm sort of manually spiraling in, and there we go. Taking a little bit of heat damage there on some of the modules, but nothing too crazy. It's because we're in a Wolf-Rye, and you kind of have to expect that. In other types, especially something like a Pulsar, you'll do great. Do absolutely great with this ship. It's only because it's a Wolf-Rye that it struggles just that little bit more. We've now got the orbit comfortably set up against the Sleepless Upholder, and you'll see that this is now going to just keep missing me and not doing much damage, even when it hits. There we are, Sleepless Upholder misses you completely, and I'm just going to sit here and chunk through it comfortably. Again, I'm using Phased Plasma. I really should be using Hail at this point in time. Or did I swap to Hail? That looks like Hail in the graphics on the... Actually, I can't remember. I'm not watching my screen too closely. But yeah, at this point, I would swap to Hail because the negative penalty for the tracking doesn't matter when we're shooting a battleship up close and personal. Once the Upholder's down, we just pick off those two defenders, go and loot our mobile tractor unit, which you'll notice as well, I've not bookmarked. What an idiot, Benzie. Bookmark your mobile tractor units, people. Bookmark your MTUs. Otherwise, if you are forced to warp away, you might forget where to come back to, and that's just no fun. Also, if, like me, you're in a wormhole incorporation, you can change those bookmarks later to then be like a salvage bookmark, so that someone can come in, you've looted everything, and off you go. You leave it as a salvage bookmark, someone else can warp into that point, salvage all that stuff for a little bit of extra ISK. Nice and easy, great little way for alpha pilots or newer players to make ISK in wormholes. You let guys like me kill everything, then you come in and just salvage all of that extra stuff. Is it mad loot? No, it's not. Is it worth doing if, like me, you're ratting? I'd argue, no, probably not really. But for someone who doesn't have the capability of C3 ratting, doing the salvage afterwards is a great way to make easy, safe ISK. I don't know. Anyway, folks, that showcases quite nicely how well the Khizriel runs these sites. I'm doing this in a Wolf-Rye, and we are comfortably chunking through this site. The whole thing takes about 12 minutes to clear. It's not a long clear time at all, and for a ship that is ultimately alpha friendly, I think this is a great little one to run, especially if you want to dual box or if you want to bring a friend with you. The fact that you can command burst with this is just really good fun. Obviously, remember to bring drones so that you're doing more damage than I'm doing now, because I'm an idiot and forgot to pack the drones, but otherwise, happy sailing, folks, and see you in New Eden!